I just unmute. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeongkyu. So can you guys hear me? Please use chatting box if you can hear me, because I let you guys cannot enable the mute and unmute. Okay, so that's good. So this is the first episode of the season 2 Anyone Python. If you already took the season 1, it was the May, several months before. So you know the what is the this. So this is kind of the continuing the season 1. So actually main purpose of the Anyone Python is to learn the computer and computer programming, including Python, with fun. It's not stressful. So also under the pandemic, so there's not much we can do. So I can do what I can do. So I'm a professor in computer science department in East Coast, the University of Bridgeport. So I have been teaching the very basic, from the basic computer subject to the graduate level last 16 years. So that's what I can do. So I'd like to share my experience with the kids and the parents and anyone. So that's the reason the title of this program is Anyone Python. So welcome. So when I checked your registration, 1/3 of students already took the season 1 before. So if you didn't, I strongly suggest when you have free time, you can watch a video. And if you are able to follow that the instruction, please install the Python, PyCharm, and learn the Carol and so on. So before we start, I'd like to introduce the TA who are going to help us. So first, Trinity, are you there? I think that you can unmute by yourself, right?
Yes, hello. Hello?
Yeah, it's a, can you volume up a little bit? Oh, yes, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Trinity. I'm a high schooler. I'm now a senior, going to college next year, hopefully. And
right now you're a senior, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So, I'm interested in computer science. I've been doing like robotics and other computer related things for a while now. And I'm just TAing. I took a class with a professor 2 years ago, I think. And yeah.
It was last year.
I think it was last year. So yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, so again, if you have any questions, just don't be afraid to put it in chat. I would prefer it if you just ask the question to everyone. That way, if anybody else has a similar question, then they can refer to the answer.
Great. And also we have another TA, the Unji. So Unji, you can unmute and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Unji. I am a rising junior, so I start school next week at Stanford, and I'm studying computer science. And I help TA season 1 of Anyone Python, and I also participate in TAing classes at Stanford too for computer science. And I'm really excited that you guys are all here. And you could feel free to ask me questions too. Either me or Trinity will get back to you if you ask questions in the chat, or if you feel more comfortable asking individually, or if it's a more personalized question, that's okay too. And I hope you guys really enjoy the course.
Nice to meet you, Unji. It's been a while. Actually, every summer I'm offering. Except this summer, as you know, it was not possible to offer the summer camp. So, but the last several years, so I offer the summer camp for the high school and to learn about the computer and very basic computer stuff. So Unji joined the first summer camp that I offered in 2015 in Connecticut. Then she is a major in the computer science. I'm very happy. And also the Trinity, she was, it's 2 years before it's already. Anyway, so in summer, she took the summer camp for the autonomous car project. And she is going to, hopefully, the computer science. That is my job and my what I can do. So please feel free to ask a question during our lecture because they are working voluntary work. So I don't want to bother them after the class. So please ask because while I'm doing my lecture for the Anyone Python, it's not easy to take care of all your questions. So please leaving your question on the chatting box, not the play around. So please, because it's not the playground. So we have not only the elementary school student, but middle school, high school, and college student, and also we have a lot of parents. So please keep the very basic etiquette. Okay. Okay. So before we start, for those who didn't complete the season 1. So I'd like to very briefly introduce what we have done in the season 1, the Anyone Python. In Anyone, the season 1, we start very basic, the introductory, the computer science, as well as the programming. So even though it was based on the Python, we didn't learn a lot regarding to the Python. Instead, we learned how to do the programming with the help of the Python and also Carol. So, for example, we installed the Python on our computer, and also we installed the PyCharm. Questions? So, anyone who can answer what is the PyCharm actually? What is the main job of PyCharm? Who attended the season 1? Anyone? Please give me you can use the chatting box. I think a lot of you guys already did the season 1. Interpreter, oh, that's for the Python, right? It's the IDK, it's a similar. I don't know, but it's quite similar. It is called the IDE. Do you remember that? It's actually the software to use Python. It's not Python. So we use the PyCharm to use the Python at that time. It's called the ID, Integrated Development Environment. So it's a software to use the Python. So we installed both of them. Then before we start the main program language Python, we learned actually how to do the programming using Carol. So let me give the link for the Carol. So please open your, you can use this link. Okay, so let me change the screen. I think that this one is better. Okay, so if you go to the Carol side, this is what we have used in the season 1. So it's called the Carol the robot. So using the robot, Carol is a very simple guy. It can actually move and turn left and the pick and put. That's it. So then we learn the programming. So if you didn't complete the season 1, it's a good idea to start the first programming with the Carol. Then you are going to be familiar with what is the programming and so on. Okay, so that is what we have learned the last season 1. Then in this season 2, we are not going to dive into the Python right away. Instead, we are going to it's kind of the mini season before we start the main season, probably season 3. If you are asking me when will be the season 3, I do not know. So, but when we have a chance, when we have a time, and we are going to have the season 3, when we are going to start to learn the Python more details. But before we start such a Python program language, I'm thinking to learn the kind of a mini season in between. So that is the season 2. So main theme of the season 2 is command line interface. Okay, command line interface. What is a command line interface? So we are going to see today, what is a command line and what is a command line interface, why we learned such a thing, and so on. Okay, so before we start, please make your finger free. Do not type a lot. We are going to use a lot the keyboard and computer. Please start with the stretch as a user. So please stretch. So I like to start my lecture with some stretch. So, but in person class, we can take the turn, the stretch. But here it's not easy, but you can do whatever you want. So, okay. So let's start. So from time to, before we start, for your, thanks so much. I'd like to have a survey before we start. So question is, so you can see the pop-up for survey. So what operating system are you using? We did before in season 1 also, but I'd like to collect your, what computer you are using. I'd like to know. Okay, the 10 more seconds. If you do not know the question, just like the IDK. Otherwise, if you are using different one, oh, one person used the others, I'm interested which operating system you are using. So I'm going to end the poll. So this is a result. So roughly 70%, it is almost the same, the result as the one in the season 1. So 70% use Windows, the other 30% use Mac OS. I think the one use others. I do not know which operating system you are using. So, and 1 or 2 is I don't know. So this is a starting point of the season 2. So we are going to see more details of the operating system. Then we will see what is a command line. Then the why the command line is important or helpful to learn about the computer. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share. Then from time to time, I'm going to change the screen to the iPad. Okay, so this is really old, my iPad. So before we start, I'd like to remind one more time, please mute audio. I think that you cannot unmute by yourself. So I actually forcefully disable, unmute the audio. You know why? So if I allow unmute audio, it's huge, the sound and noise. So please use your chatting box if you have a question. But we have right now the 76 people, so you should be cooperative to manage this class. If that is not much related to the class on the chatting box, please keep, okay? Then please turn on your video. So for example, I'd like to check your response using the face sometimes. So please turn on the video camera, then I can see how much you guys are following and whether this is really boring or whether this is exciting and so on, okay? Then the third one is use your full name if possible, because sometimes I'm going to ask directly to the specific person like that, but not many times. Okay, so let's, oops, this one. So if you remember the season 1, I have used this box. So anyone who remember what is this box? Anyone? You can use the chatting box. What is this? Computer, yes. So I think someone remember what is this. So from now on, in this season 2 also, we are going to be familiar with this guy. So when you make a friend, you should know about the friend. If you want to know about if you are a friend of computer, you should know what is a computer, how it is organized. So we spend a lot of time, not a lot of time, a little bit, to know about this computer. So basically it has 3 main components like this. So one is, this one is called the CPU, the processor. So CPU, right? So Gloria answered this one, you remember? So CPU is the main part. It's like the brain of a human being. So CPU can process a certain command and do something is the main part. I think roughly the 50–60% of computer. So I think that's the CPU part. So it actually the performance and the price determined by such a CPU. But the CPU can do something, but it cannot keep something data. So CPU only processes such data, but there's not much space to keep it. So CPU usually use the memory, or sometimes it's called the RAM, to keep such data. So a lot of time, CPU bring data from the memory to the CPU, then do something, and save it, and again and again. So memory is called the primary storage. It's a primary storage, but this memory is very fast, so you can access easily the data. The problem is it's so small. So usually think about the memory size in your computer. It's around 16 gig or the 32 gig maximum. So for personal computer, so it's not that big. So nowadays the personal data is 1 terabyte, huge size. So to address that storage problem, so we are going to use this guy. This is the hard disk drive, or sometimes we can use SSD, solid state disk. So we are going to use this one. This is called the secondary storage. So for better understanding, so I'm going to use this one. So this is my desk. So I'm working in front of using desk. Okay, this desk is the same as your computer. So whenever you are writing or when you are doing the game or the chatting, so you sit on this chair. Okay, then do something. So there's a CPU in front of you. However, so to do something, you should get for example, you are going to study. So you need a textbook. Where's the textbook? So you can access such a textbook, the drawer on your desk. So you can quickly get for example, I can pull out my textbook from the drawer. So it's just stored at you. It's with your desk. But this drawer is not that big. So sometimes you need to get the old textbook or some other material. Where do you get such a data? At that time, you can use the cabinet or the bookshelves. So you need to move out and get such a data. So this is the kind of the hard disk drive. And this drawer is the memory. And the CPU is your working place. So this is most of the modern computer system has such a organization: CPU, memory, hard disk drive. Then they are connected. So you can store the data or program on your hard disk drive. Then bring such a data to or program to the memory. Then finally CPU can do something, process the data from the memory. This is how the computer is working. Okay, so more specifically, this is called the von Neumann computing architecture, but you don't have to worry about such a name. So then, problem is Such a computer, once again, computer is called the hardware. Okay, so this hardware nowadays, there is a main problem. So power, electricity. So sometimes it's called the electric computer system. So once we connect this one, this computer is working. Actually not. Even though you connect the hardware computer stuff to the power, it doesn't work. Why? Because it's just a hardware device. So we have a person, the user, and this is the computer. So computer is the hardware, like this one, the mouse, but there's nothing. So we need to give the power, but still it's not working to make it available. So we need the something in between user and computer system. So this is who is in charge of that? It's a software. So we must have such a software to use the computer system. At that time, this software is called the operating system. So I asked the question, the survey, what operating system you are using? So you answer the 70% Windows and the 30% the Mac OS. At that time, so if somebody asks, what computer are you using? I'm using Apple computer. But which operating system are you using? At the time, you can answer Mac OS. So operating system and computer are different, but sometimes we use interchangeably. So this operating system has a long time history. So it starts from the 1970. So actually longer than that, I'm going to start from here. Then it's called the Unix system. So Unix is old, the operating system. So what operating system is doing? Operating system, this Unix system is doing the helping the user to use computer. How? At that time, the operating system can create process. So process means, so it's for example, if somebody asks, no, you need to download the app for your cell phone, then what is the app? It's an application. Actually, that is the program. So if you have the program, you should run that program. How to run? As I said, it's through the memory. So it's going to the memory, then CPU will do something. This is called the process. You create the process. Actually, who created? Operating system. So we are going to learn a little bit more detail. So a little bit more about this operating system in season 2. But there are a lot of things, like to think about the Windows. When you have Windows, what you can do with the Windows? A lot of things. You can do the internet, you can do the game. So there are a lot of components in the operating system. But when you are using this operating system, you don't know much about the behind. So instead, you will see some interface. So interface means it's a kind of a meeting point between computer and user. So when a user use computer, so you should have such an interface. So for this interface, you know already, GUI. So anyone who knows what is GUI? I can see a lot of unnecessary chatting. So Unji and Trinity. So if somebody keep put the unnecessary chatting, you can kick them out. Okay, so I don't want the other. Then please give the name. Then I'm going to rule out their name. Okay, it's a very basic etiquette. Okay, to follow. Okay, let me go ahead. So GUI. So who answered that? Sean answered. It's a graphical user interface. So what is a graphical user interface? Just to see your monitor. That is a graphical user interface. So everything. So you can use a computer using graphic. Like you can click, you can actually create a folder, you can double click the icon and the menu. That is a graphical user interface. It's fantastic. Okay, but there is another type of interface. Anyone? That is CLI. It's called the command line interface. So what is the difference? Graphical user interface, just like the interface that you are using right now. It's a graphic. So you can just use a mouse or a touchpad and your finger, that's it. And on the other hand, command line interface, CLI, is based on the C. It's a command. But this command is not the click, it's not the icon, it's just a line. So you can give the command on the line. That's it. That is an interface. Then why do I need to learn such a command line interface? I like the graphic, but so example of the command line interface, let me show you the first. So let me use this one. So this is a command line interface. Like that. It looks like what? What do you think? It's fun? It looks like the more professional. So when you watch the movie, it's like the hacker used a lot of such a thing, right? And stop. And so I can touch A and then print hello world. I can do the programming. And so for example, using the Python, I can run the Python code like the hello. So I can do the programming even. So this is a command line interface. The reason why we are using the command line is it's very, very efficient. So for example, so if I ask you why don't you create the 100 files? 100 files. So how can you create the 100 files? How do you? So you need to open the file browser, then here, so you can right click and the new file and so on. So you need to do this job how many times? 100 times. However, if you are using the command line, so let me show you the example. So for then, for example, touch. Oops, if I do this, it takes a time. Let me stop. And mkdir test, cd test, and throw I in CQ 100 and do touch and done. So 105 is just one command. So this is the beauty of the command line. So you can do you can use the computer professionally, especially if you are interested in the computer. This command line is very, very close to the original computer system. so you are getting close to your friend. So that is the reason that I'd like to offer before we start the Python. So for example, as I showed before, so we can even do the Python programming as I showed here. So without using the PyCharm. So it's a programming, then the Python 3, so 8, then the run the program. So this is the reason I'm offering the season 2 can use the computer using command line interface, the CLI. Okay, so then you will love the computer itself by using the command line, but which is not easy. The problem of using the CLI is not easy. So GUI, the graphic, you can just click, that's it. But the CLI is you need to type, it looks, but it's not that difficult. I think that you can follow the instruction. Then, do I have the CLI command line? If you are using Mac OS, it's already there. So if you are using Mac, so you don't have to worry about too much. However, Windows is slightly different. When Bill Gates invent the Windows in his garage long time before, he actually used the small operating system. Then on top of that, build the several thing program, then they make the Windows. People loves it. So he throw away the command line. So only the Windows. So Windows actually does not provide, but recently it's changed. History is changed. So recently Microsoft actually put the command line again, but still as a default, when you buy the Windows, there's no command line. So you should install the program. So from now, so for this season 2, Windows user should install the command line. So this is the link. Why don't you open the browser? The Windows user only, and also Mac OS user also follow, but I will explain later. So why don't you go to the site? So this is called the Git for Windows. So I'm going to explain what is the Git. But you heard about the GitHub. Anyone who knows about the GitHub? So GitHub is G-I-T-H-U-B. So nowadays, if you want to get a job in IT or computer, or if you want to go employee of Google, you should know about the GitHub. So let me explain later what is GitHub. However, to use GitHub, so actually you should have this Git. Okay, so but this Git is not only for the GitHub or such a thing. It also provides the command line interface, so which is called the Git-bash. So Windows user only, Windows 70% Windows user, please click the Windows. So let me show you. Let me start. So this is my Windows. Actually, I connect through the virtual, the VNC, but this is another my window, the operating system. So click and so click the Windows and download. It's automatically download the file. It's around 240 megabytes. So then after download everything, you can click and install the program. Yes. And next. And next. Yes. And next, just select the all default. Next. And next. And next. And next. Next. A lot next. And keep next. 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 Okay. So you don't have to change any option, just keep going and install it. Okay. Meanwhile, the Mac user. So Mac user actually click the site. So you can see download for Mac OS. Actually, the Mac, it has the command line interface, but you don't have to install the Git-bash. But the Git is very important later. So probably we will not learn the very details of the Git in the season 2, but for your future, you'd better install the Git this time. So only Mac user, so going to the homebrew. Let me explain what is this, the brew.sh. So not right now. After the class, please install the homebrew. It's your homework. So why don't you follow the installation homebrew here? You can just follow the instruction. Then what is homebrew? Homebrew is the program that manages the software, especially command line, like CLI, the software. So you can install Git using homebrew. You can install the CLI command using homebrew. It will be very, very helpful later. So please install the homebrew and then install the Git. Like how to install? You can just homebrew, install the Git like that after you install the homebrew. Let's see what is the problem. Brew. Sorry. So command is brew. And you can install the Git also. This is for Mac user only. So let's go back to our Windows. Yes, this is done. Okay, everything looks good. Let me stop and connect again. So to start our command line from Windows, after you install the Git-bash, so you can type Git-bash here. So you can find the Git-bash program and double click. Then this is your command line interface, CLI, on Windows. Okay. Then what about the Mac OS, Mac user? Mac user going to search. Search menu is the top right corner and type terminal. Then you will see this. Let me exit this, then show the first. So terminal. So let me make it bigger. So this is a command line for Mac. So this one. So Mac user start the terminal, the next class. From the next class, so when I ask start the command line, then you can start the terminal. Windows user start the Git-bash. So Git-bash. Okay. So after you install the Git-bash, so you can start this one. How do I start? So once again, you can go to, after you install this, you can go to here, then type Git-bash, then enter. So this is the command line. They are not identical. They are slightly different, but main idea are the same. We will use very basic command line interface next to the couple of classes. So it may not be the hurt or the confusion, but before we start, the Mac and the Windows are not identical, so sometimes you should guess. So even the background, you can change the background later, but background doesn't look like the same, but they are the command line for each operating system. Okay, so after you install, let me check. I'm going to slow down here. So please take a time to install. And if you have questions, please leave your question chatting box. How many of you, among the Windows user, how many of you install the Git-bash and you can start the Git-bash, the command line? If you can follow me, please give me the thumbs up. You can give me the thumbs up using the, where is it? Your reaction. Using your reaction, please give me the thumbs up. Nice. So Daniel, the Eugene, nice. The Jennifer, the Allison, and the very nice. And Jonathan, good. Okay, very nice. Nick is good. And the son. Okay, then among the Mac user, so how many of you can start the terminal? If you can start the terminal, please give me thumbs up. Okay, Jessica, very nice. Okay. And Jennifer and Min Kang, and also, yes, Min Kang Choi. And so please give me thumbs up if you are ready. Okay, so then today, just type the very, very basic command, then I will explain the more details from next class. So before we start to learn the command line, somebody developed the command line. It's a software. So they are not that smart. So when they make the name of command, they use a very simple way. Like for example, I'd like to list my files. So how can you list the file? You can guess the command. List is the L-I-S-T, but it's too long. So developer of this operating system, simplify the command like the ls. So instead of a list, so ls is our first command in command line. So ls is the list, the files. So if you type this, so you can see the files. So on the Windows, you can type ls, you can see a lot of files. So why don't you try the ls command on the Windows, ls. It's the ls. So let me stop share, change share screen to my iPad. Okay, good. So from now on, when I'm using the first thing, this is our command line, the window. Then you can see something information, then wait for the command. Or if you are using Windows or Git-bash, it's like that, then there is like the $sign over here. So this is called prompt. This is called the prompt. This is called the prompt. Prompt means where computer is waiting for your input command. So prompt. So where you can put something command on the prompt like the ls command. Then always enter. So without enter, so you cannot run the program like a click. So ls, then enter, then that command is run. Okay, it's the same as double click. So please one more time the type ls, then enter on your command line terminal. ls and enter. Okay, then this is a prompt. Then, so for example, ls, oops, ls. However, I want to know more details about the file. So ls just give the file name only. So most of command has the option. So option is usually space, then minus, then option. AL. Why don't you type on your prompt? From now on, I'm going to use the name of prompt. On your prompt, type ls. This one means space. So give the space, then minus AL. Let me go back to the share screen. So the Windows user, ls space minus AL. Something different. So Mac user, ls minus AL. Enter. Something different. Basically, can you guess what I did or what you did? Minus AL give what? Minus AL. Looks like not only file name, it gives a lot more information. For example, this is the date when created. So 2020, March 3rd. And this is the name of user. Name of user here. And also D means what? It's a directory. Directory is the same as a folder on Windows. So it's a directory. And size, a lot more information. So A means all. A means all the file. L means it's a long format. So when developer of this command line, when they implement code or whatever, they put just a simple idea. A option is all. L option is long. So ls is the list. So when you learn such a command, you don't have to try to memorize everything. Just it's a common sense. Always all the command that we are going to use in command line. It's very simple. So ls is a command. So minus AL is the option for all the information long format like that. So this is just the very, very basic kind of the idea. How when you are using the command line, you don't have to memorize everything, just common sense. Then you can use very fun and you learn a lot. One more command. So what does it look like? PWD. So pwd here. So pwd. So let me type the pwd also here. So can you guess what is a pwd? Just enter and just enter like this. So pwd means print. I'm trying to annotate, so I'm not good this one. Print working directory. So this is the pwd command, print working directory. So print work. So if you see this one, /user/JELEE. I'm going to explain later what is a slash. It's very fun, the story for this one also. So Windows is the same thing. The C under C drive, the users under Lee. Here is the working directory. So if you want to know where you are, so at that time you can type pwd. The reason why the pwd is the second command is we use a lot. I think the most used command from now on, pwd. Anyone can guess why pwd is important and the most used one? pwd? Anyone? What about Unji? Can you guess why pwd is the most used one?
I personally haven't used it that much, but my guess would be it would shows you where your working directory is, so it would be
Right.
really useful.
So actually, let me show you the Windows. So you can actually browse, click, download, desktop, then you can go where. So you know where you are directly. So it's here, desktop, and the C. This is very simple. However, one problem of using command line is you don't know where you are. So here, you don't know where you are because it's a command line. It shows just line. So because of that, so you should know from time to time where you are. Okay, that time you can use the pwd command. I strongly suggest type the pwd whenever you run the command, because sometimes you want to delete the file. For example, I create the 100 file here, so I want to delete everything. Oh, by the way, how can you delete the file? Can you guess? del is not actually the command line used. Remove. Instead of remove, it's too long. So you can rm, remove the file. So remove the file, rm. So you don't have to. We will see later, but in my case, I'd like to delete all the file here. So we can delete. However, if I did the same thing in here, so here I have a lot the important files. So, but if I delete rm, same command like this, it deletes everything. So it can be disaster sometimes if you mistake. So to avoid such a mistake, so you should know where you are, pwd, and also here pwd. So from time to time you need to check this. Okay, so let me stop here. Today we install the Git-bash. So next class, I'm going to explain why it's called the bash, why there is a Git, such a program. And also the Windows user we install, but the Mac user, Mac already have such a command line. So we talk about what is the command line. Command line is really, really nice, wonderful interface. between you and computer. So we have used a lot graphics, GUI, or touch screen like this. But instead, from now on, you guys can use the command line. So when you are using command line, so show your command line to your friend. It looks like your expertise, professional, like the hacker. So then not only just to show up, but the command line is really, really efficient and provide a lot the functionality. Okay. So thanks so much for joining. And please, if you do not follow, if you fail to install the Git as a Windows user, so please install the Git-bash. Okay, it's just the installing the program. You don't have to worry about it. So next class, we will learn some basic command. So we already learned the couple of command. So first one is what? First one? Anyone who can answer? LS, yes, list the file. You want to see the file, right? So using the Explorer, you can see the file. Similarly, we can list the file. There's another one. Yes, PWD. Before that, somebody answered -AN. Minus means what? Minus means? Anyone? Space minus. It's a option. So you can give the option. So what kind of option? A option, L option. There are a lot of options we will see. So second command is who answered the, how Chan answered that PWD. PWD shows what? Current your directory, where you are. So we already learned the two command. So from next class, we will learn the more command. So then I'm thinking too whether we need the command line editor. So we have actually editor. So which is called the VI, which is really old fashioned like the my generation, the editor, but it's still powerful. So if you are able to use a VI, it looks really, what? Not fashionable, but it looks professional. So I'm thinking to introduce it, even that is very tough for the beginner, but I will show you how to use later. And then probably the first week, fifth week, we will learn the command line to learn the Carol program. It's also possible. So we will learn without using Python, we will run the Python program, Carol program, with the command line. Okay, thanks so much for your joining. Before we end, there is the last thing we need to do. So please give me the satisfaction, how much you like it. So if you really like it, really like it. Really don't like it, really don't like it. So whatever. Okay, thanks so much for your joining. And have a nice weekend. Be safe. We will see next week, Friday. Okay, thank you. I'm going to be available 5 to 10 minutes. So if you have any question, private or the whatever, so you can ask a question. Okay, after I stop the recording. So roughly 2/3, 80, 2/3 like it. Okay. This is the response today. Thanks so much. Then stop recording.